Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, Rockin' Dave, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. We just thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really didn't plan on going live, but today is actually Deb's birthday, so I figured we'll do something, kind of special for Deb, and 21 again, right? So, and also want to, give a happy Labor Day to everyone out there. A little shout out there. And I think Deb was actually born, the third today, third fell on Labor Day. So I actually think she was born on Labor Day. So, I don't know, my friends. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. And besides, what I have wanted to do occasionally, maybe like a first Monday of the month or something to that effect. Thank you so much for the shout outs for Deb. Thank you guys. Jason Wade, R2, R3 Locking Nut. Arvingard, thank you so much. Arvingard, sometimes I can't. Little David Ennis, thank you so much. Sonia, what's happening? Sonia. So we really appreciate everyone. Johnny Bean, what is happening? The Beanmeister himself. To bean or not to bean, that is the question. And Johnny's got the answer, see? No, you guys totally rock. You guys are great people out there. We love this community, and that's what it's all about. Helping inspire people and getting inspiration from everybody. And, that's why I wanted to give a special shout out for Deb, because, she's been my everything. And I'll tell you what, and in business, she's been my main source of inspiration, Everything she said is what has come true for me, and which is really cool. Plus, she ran sound professionally for a lot of bands out there, and it being, what I was to say is, like maybe once a month, maybe the first Monday of the month or something. I have to, get to figure things out here, but maybe do a little shout out to called Blue Monday. Being from Chicago, we kind of dropped off there, my friends. Now we're back. Well, anyways, people have asked me if I've ever played any blues. Hey, thank you so much. I want to say that is Cyber 3 or Cyber Evil or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool how you got that, the lettering. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. But yeah, for it being like a Blue Monday, Chicago blues, and although I'm more of in blues-based music, more like British blues, British blues rock, and like some of the funk, So, Dry Heat 480, yes. What's happening, Old Man Dan? We got them all today, man. Again, I do apologize, and I didn't really send out any notifications. I know there's a way you could do it where there'll be like I'm gonna say like an ad, it's posted. But I do everything from the phone, so I don't think I could do it from the phone. We'll be getting a separate laptop pretty soon here, where I could start hosting some hangouts, and I could start interviewing all you guys out there, all you guys and gals out there. I think that's what I want to do, is really start with you guys, and basically start with as many people as I can, but definitely Joe Winch from the Joe Winch Project, great guy, totally rocks. He's helped us with our channel, and Jim Dietrich and Adam EVH and Ben Coombs and all of you guys, and you guys are all important to me, and so I really appreciate it. So I figure, doing this, and a special shout out again for Deb for her birthday, 21. Deb used to run sound for, she ran sound for Lonnie Brooks, Chicago blues guitarist Lonnie Brooks. Hey. Oh, you like that Dry Heat? Yeah, on Saturday I figured, ended with a little rock bottom there, And actually, the whole track that I did there, everything came right off of the Digitech RP. It's the same, I think it's the same drum tracks, it's patterns that's in the RP 355. So I think Guitar Girl, she has the RP 355. And so the drum tracks and the bass came right from the 365. EJ's Guitars, what is happening, my friend? Yeah. So and then ran into the loop pedals, the separate looping pedals. So we really appreciate you guys, celebrating with Deb's birthday and over the weekend, and taking time out of your guys' days, and with the families and everything. It really, really, really much appreciated, and but yeah, we're doing like maybe a once a month, because I don't want to oversaturate things with like a Blue Monday, and talk about some blues style and blues playing, and the places that I grew up, because I grew up literally down the street from all the blues clubs. But yeah, I say sometimes I lose train of thought here, and I apologize about that. So we have when Deb was running sound, she ran sound for Lonnie Brooks, and she also ran sound for a band called the Kinsey Report. And they're all Chicago-based blues artists. And of course, I'm pretty sure she met Buddy Guy at Buddy Guy's place. Mr. Chicago Blues himself, Buddy Guy. Great, yeah, he's a great guy, man, and great guitarist. And it's so cool to see someone get their due respect, because he really is a fantastic person. Usually fantastic people become fantastic musicians, not just fantastic guitar players. And he's definitely one of them. But yeah, growing up right down the street from all these places, and sitting in and jamming, doing the jam sessions over at Kingston Mines. This was back in 1983. I had my Gibson Flying V. It was a blonde wood finish. So it had the body binding, like the Gibson, the Les Paul's got the binding. Hey, my friend, take care, buddy. I really appreciate you stopping in. I know it might be around dinner time, and it is Labor Day, and I really, Jimmy T, what's happening? Wish I would have. I was thinking about this, but I wanted to, give a special shout out, especially to Deb. She's, she is my better half. And since this, like I said, with Blue Monday, and since she ran sound with Lonnie Brooks and the Kinsey Report, I figured I'd just do a little jamming on the Gibson here. And with that being said, I know Guitar Hack has got his chilling on Labor Day, exactly. Guitar Hack, how are you? Good seeing you, Mr. Guitar Hack. And thanks for the shout out at the beginning of your chat. I started to tune in yesterday. See, yesterday we celebrated Deb's birthday. We went to the movie theater to see The Meg, which I'm glad it was not trying to do a take on Jaws, because Jaws is a one-of-a-kind movie. It's a timeless classic. You can't really touch it, Anyway, so we did our celebration, and I was partially on your chat, Guitar Hack, and then when I dropped off, it's because I was driving, and then so I really appreciate the shout out, and really, really appreciate and respect your insight, you as not only just a teacher, because I taught guitar very for a while, for a long time, and I still do once in a while, but basically your experience teaching and as an electrician. We're back, my friends. Yeah, this drops off a lot. You know what? I think even Guitar Hack, you mentioned about it on your, because I watched your rerun earlier today, and you had mentioned about we get these drop offs. Could be part of the humidity and the weather and that, and then I think also there's so much going on with YouTube with everyone's channels. I think that's what happens. But yeah, I got a lot of respect for you, Guitar Hack, because I've worked in the trades. Deb, she worked in the trades. She had a custom oak stair company, so we does Dave have Canadian internet? Oh, do I have? Yeah. EJ, sometimes it's like that. I don't know how bad the Canadian internet is, guys, so I'm not gonna I like to give respect to my my Canadian fans and friends there and family, because Canada's a great country. Jason Wade, you saw Buddy Guy, B.B. King, and Susan Touch. Oh, yeah, on the same tour back in 1998. Unbelievable. Oh, man. I bet that was. Yeah, I bet that was incredible. Yeah. Your Buddy Guy, he's got a lot of energy. And so, the late, great B.B. King. one of my former students back in Illinois was actually on BB King's tour bus. Got a picture with him and talking with him and that. And it's interesting, BB King for a while was using the Lab Series L5 amps, and I used to own one of those. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, and then we used to go to the Chicago Blues Fest. I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan for free at the 1984 Blues Fest. Yeah, Coco Taylor opened up for him. But yeah, so an R2 R3. You being from Chicago, I'm sure you know a lot of the places out in the suburbs. But I think you're in Schaumburg, where I actually lived. Right, I mean literally. I think it was the first blues club from my house was maybe about 5 blocks. And summertime. See, we really didn't have air conditioning, so summertime you have the windows open, and then depending which way the wind blew, you could start to hear. So I was checking out your ES 339 guitar. You have Guitar Hack, and yeah, it is a smaller size than the 335 ES 335, and I think you also mentioned one of your Les Pauls you got the coil splits. That's what this has. Plus it's got the out of phase switch. So what is cool? Nine Phantoms, how you doing, buddy? Good seeing you. What is really cool? What's really cool with this guitar, because sometimes you bring a few guitars out. Yeah, obviously if you're pop a string and for different sounds and that. But let's say if you just had to just bring one guitar out. What's nice with this guitar? Yeah, happy Labor Day to you too, my friend. Yep. Is that with the coil tapping you do get, now this is out of phase, so actually I got my clean sound on. So here's just again, nothing coil tapped, and actually I got the two. Yeah, they don't. Well, here's the deal. Here is the deal. Yeah, old man Dan. But some of the older Gibson, and it's also on the Les Pauls, because there's you'll see some older pictures with Al Di Meola with his Les Paul Custom. He had the rotary switch. That rotary switch would also act as an out of phase. Because you're right. Because, back in the day, Gibson had its customs, its artists, its artisan models. It had its deluxe models with the mini humbuckers, and it had ones with the P90s, and, as well as the standard. So, really back then, you didn't have the coil tapping. If you wanted something similar to that, you grabbed the P90s, But what had started to happen is all these other manufacturers, and I would say mainly like Ibanez, because Ibanez was, I love Ibanez guitars, but I do remember seeing an ad in the Guitar Player magazine where Ibanez literally had the artist versus the Les Paul standard, and it was the catchphrase was something to this effect: why spend this much money for this Les Paul when you could get basically the same thing plus more with the Ibanez artist? Because my 1978 Ibanez artist had the tri-sound switches. So you had a 3-way switch here, and you had two 3-way toggle switch, and the Super 88 pickups, the Flying Fingers pickups. And so I think what was going on, Gibson was seeing this and saying, you know what, why don't we come out over a course of time it took with the coil tapping and that. Now this body has the 1960s. It's kind of like that. I don't know, like tapered neck. I forget what it was called. But it's almost like a 1960s type of neck, and it's has a nice feel to it, and the coil tapping, that all came later, because Gibson started to realize, hey, you know what, we better start. We'll always have our traditional stuff, but we better start keeping up with this, because all these other companies, What I was to say is this is a slightly chambered body, because I have a friend of mine. His is really chambered. It was like picking up a a Mexican-made Stratocaster, which I own. It's like, oh my God, like hardly anything. And I'm not really a big fan on of chambered bodies, but I mean, I really got used to this. Because again, I started playing in 1974, and that's, back then you go to the music store, you pick up all this stuff, and that's what it was. We didn't have anything to compare to. So I see Dry Heat. Yeah, you saw John Lee Hooker and Buckwheat Zodiac. Oh, let's see. Yeah, at the Riviera. Yeah, the Riviera Theater. Or was that Ravinia? Yeah, Ravinia. Okay, yeah, I've been to Ravinia. Also been to the Riviera Theater after they showed movies, because before Riviera Theater showed movies, you had the Riviera, and you had Uptown. The Riviera Theater, movie theater, was right by Goblat's, Broadway and Clark, where they intersected on Lawrence Avenue, and then you had the Aragon Ballroom, which we call the Brawl Room, and then you always had the Green Mill Jazz Club, and then you had the Uptown Movie Theater. And that's back then they show movies. But now it's concerts. Deb and I saw G3 at the Riviera with not the first G3, but G3 with Yngwie Malmsteen. That was back in 2003, I think it was. Yeah. So, but what I was just saying is, yeah, I'm trying to catch up with the chat. But I would have to agree with you, old man Dan, and a lot of the purists out there, that yeah, Gibson is a Gibson, and it hopefully they don't want to stray too far away from what made them the iconic guitar that they are. I like my Super Strats, my Ibanez guitars, but boy, I tell you what, I really like this. But this is basically with both pickups on without any coil tapping, and then if I coil tap both pickups, you get that. Then if I out of phase, you get this. So that's what this reminds me of, that rotary switch. Let's see. Everyone's chatting with each other, and I think that's great. Just like what Guitar Hack said. This whole platform is definitely meant for everybody to connect with each other, communicate with each other. But yeah, by having something like this, it's like a one-stop guitar that you could bring out. And let's say if you only want to bring out one, what's nice if you do pop strings, because sometimes I have that tendency. And it's so weird, guys. There are times when I'm doing my, if I'm doing, once in a while I'll pop strings like that. But it seems when I'm just doing like the funk type rhythm. Now, this bridge has the roller saddles. And if people were to change their bridges out to get one of these, you got to keep in mind, you got to specify if you have an Epiphone or a Gibson, because, it's a different size. So, let's see. Oh, everyone's, yeah. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, Guitar Hack. It's interesting what you also said about your gig. Turn the volume down. You basically were at this volume, and they want you to turn it down, and then here comes the DJ. You take a break, and then all of a sudden the music's blasting, and nothing's said about. I don't get it, Let's see, we got Hadley in the house. Yes. How are you doing? Is it raining? Yes, it's raining. It is raining, Mr. Hadley Scott. We are, again, I thank everyone for giving a shout out for today. Is actually Deb's birthday, and it's also Labor Day. And last year, this time last year, it was a week right within that week when Hurricane Irma hit us. And yeah, so when Hurricane Irma came, we did not leave Florida. We left our house. We stayed with a friend of ours. We stayed with a couple friends. We went further up north to a friend of ours that had a farm, helped them out. They had to leave because then the power blew out. So they go to their parents' house. And a friend of ours, great young man, Mr. Mark. He was one of my students too for a while, and he says, "Yeah, Dave, yeah, just come on up. Stay with me for a little while. You guys can." And he works for Walt Disney. He went to Berklee College of Music, and he changed his major from performance to production, and boy, I bet you he is a great guitar player. Man, I mean, this kid is just incredible. And I don't mean to call him kid as far as, in a bad way. He's a lot young. He's in his 20s. And he's just an amazing guitar player. But he's smart. He changed it to production because he saw, hey, man, I could get all this other work and make this other contacts. And, because Berklee is very expensive. And he went 5 years instead of 4. Not because he failed. It's because he wanted to do an extra, add-on. So, yeah, Miles Paul weighs in about 9.2 pounds, EJ. Yeah, I think you have. I never put this really on a scale, but it's not really super light, even though I think this is the version of the chamber version where they just, like right around here, they just did these little like holes. And they actually, they kind of got smaller in diameter. Because I do remember seeing different versions. This is a 2013 model. I know, you know what was funny? When I saw Ben Coombs' video when he was at the Canadian Guitar Show, and that guy had up against the chair, 1959 Les Paul. And Ben Coombs says it's actually a 1989 reissue, and the guy wanted $10,000. I don't know about spending $10,000. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say it's not an original 59. I have somewhere a catalog where, and it's all classical guitars, so it's nothing electric guitars. But within this catalog, they actually have available a I want to say it's 1864 Antonio Torres guitar. It looks like it's in mint condition, going for $14,500. Now, I know it doesn't look like this or like the Warlock or anything, but for me personally, I would see more value in something like that because that truly is historical. I mean, you're talking a guitar that's, almost 175 years old. 1886. No, yeah, was it 1864. So, it's over 150 years old. I was born in 1963. 1963. So, this year I'll be 55. So, it's like almost a 155-year-old guitar. So, I really see more value in something like that other than this. And I love this. But if you want to get into really stuff that's historical, something that really should merit value, it's something like that. Oh yeah, the ES3 is nice and light. And plus they got a great sound. Jason Wayne says, "Man, that 2005 LP I have is a freaking boat anchor." Oh yeah, got LP Studio. I have an Epiphone Studio, which I love that guitar. It's an excellent guitar. But I think the Gibsons, it's like a boat anchor. See, I wonder if it depends on how much maple versus mahogany wood that they slap together. That's gonna make a big difference. I'll tell you what, who has a lot of knowledge. Oh yeah, you would have loved to see the first G3 with Eric Johnson. Yeah, Jimmy T, that would have been awesome. Because we've seen Eric Johnson back in Chicago at Tinley Park, Illinois, at Loop Fest, and he was great. But everyone just recognizes Clifford Overs, which I do have the music for. I'm going to start getting into, see what I could do with some of these covers. I know I've been saying this on the channel, what's been happening really with me. Maybe I did not watch the whole video of our Saturday show. I know we got Thunderstruck or Thunder Rolls in there, which is actually a Garth Brooks song. Um, so if they don't mind me doing it, I'll definitely give shout outs to all the major artists, for people to support, and maybe that could kind of help. But again, if they say, no, Dave, we don't want you playing our stuff, then I gotta respect them. Let's see. Okay, I got my second Epi for $250. Great deal, man. Great deal. I forget who it was. I think it was Guitar Hack that you'd mentioned about would you bring out expensive guitars. And Saturday's gig, we got this on a super sale for like $2,000. It was its sale was 3,000, but the guys at Guitar Center we knew, and then Gibson at that time they wanted to force as many of their Les Pauls off the rack because 2014 was the 120th anniversary, so they want to make room for all the 120th anniversary models. So they were basically telling people, "Oh, do what you need to get them off the shelf." So we got this with the tax in the case, like $2,022.13 or something like that. Again, Deb, she is the financial guru. You know, that's why that's why everything works so well for us together, because she knows how to handle all this. But what I was gonna say is that I did take this out to the gig on Saturday, and I've taken this out to a couple of outdoor gigs and that. And there are times I'll be a little reluctant. Honestly, depends the area, and then with the humidity and that. If I could take out inexpensive gear, I'd much rather do that, because if something were to happen, I'm not filthy stinking rich, and I could go out and buy one in each color. You know what I mean? I don't think any of us are in that position. If you are, hey, more power to you. Let's see, old man Dan, you got bail. Oh, you just uploaded a vid? Cool. Yes, I think that's great, man. Oh, old man Dan, I'm still here. Yeah, hey, old man Dan, I'm still here too, man. My LP is just under 11 pounds. Okay. Yeah, see, a lot of old man Dan, yeah. I'll tell you what, to me, honestly, guys, to me, that's what a Les Paul is. You pick it up, boy, it's got some weight to it, man. Someone gets out of line at the club, because nowadays you can't do anything without having an attorney come after you. We used to call the lawyers ambulance chasers. Oh yeah, Guitar Hack. That was really cool. Again, I was only able to watch so much of it, and yeah, you did answer the question I did have. Exactly what you teach as far as electrician and that, and yeah, you do get evaluated, man. I used to belong to an organization called RSES. It stood for Refrigeration Service Engineers Society, because Deb and I also had a heat and air conditioning company, as well as a custom oak staircase company. And Deb used to come with me to the trade association meetings, and so there's a lot. There's a lot that's in debt, because figure electricity or plumbers or HVAC, those are the mechanical trades, and man, you better know what you're doing, because there'll be some big time trouble out there if you don't. But yeah, but it was real interesting what you said, Guitar Hack, about your gig. Oh, you have rollers on your V9 Phantoms, yeah. I'm catching with some of the chats, guys, so I apologize if I'm a little behind. I have the rollers saddle on my Camelot guitar, and I do on my Laguna guitar, which is right behind the camera here. I have the graphite, string savers, Graph Tech saddles, But you see, I didn't want to put because I know they do have Graph Tech saddles. But I didn't want to risk, losing sustain. How many of you? Okay, when I got, let's see, mine. It was the heaviest one Amos had at the time. Okay, yeah, which is your Les Paul. But let's see. Yeah, it's a little rainy here. This is how Florida is. Oh yeah, okay, guitar. Yeah, I think you're responding to the gig. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Mr. Michael B, what's happened? Again, I'm sorry, guys. I did kind of scroll down, and you know, I do everything off the phone, so it's just convenience sake. Um, Actually, I'm gonna really touch bases on the track I just played. That track is off of one of my CDs called Blues Rock, and that's entitled Through Thick and Thin. And I wanted to play that for Deb, for her birthday, because no matter what, we've always done everything together through thick and thin. When the housing market crashed and we sold the eight construction companies, um, we were able. What we did was, this is what we had to do, because everything was coming to a dead halt, man. I'll never forget that. Everything was at a dead halt. So, and then that means restaurants, clubs, they were like hitting the panic button, what's going on. So the gigs were not really there. We were doing a lot of corporate gigs, and those were starting to slow down. So that's when we had the CDL license, and that's when we went to drive for students, the school bus. And I don't mind mentioning this, because the fact of the matter is, if you're a musician, that is one of the best jobs you could have, because you'll have that time in between. If you have a gig, if you need to take the afternoon off, you can. The requirement is have as best of driving record as you possibly could have, and make sure you don't have any DUIs. Because I'm going to say something. You go anywhere in the United States, well, basically anywhere, but since I'm here in the United States, you could basically go anywhere and get a job, if you have to. If you have to, you really can. It really is one of the best things. And I did it as a joke. I just saw the ad in the back of the bus, and I decided to call. Next thing you know, I did, like I said, did it as a joke. Next thing you know, they want to give me a job. I'm like, okay, we'll check this gig out. And other than playing, you'd be surprised. Other than playing music and jamming and do all that, I actually love doing that type of work. Just driving the bus. It's the simplest, easiest job. I have no problems with the kids, because I've taught kids, and I know how to interact with them. I know how to. It's not like it's us versus them. Some of these drivers, I think they cause their own problems, but I'm not going to get into that. That's something people have to fix themselves. But what I was saying is, after that, then we were able to get back and do our road shows again, and live 100% off of the music. So that's what I mean. When we said we played professionally, it might not have been on a big stadium, well, although we did festivals and stuff like that. But really being professional is how much money you could make and you could put in the bank. And that's what we were able to do. And I had friends of mine that would be on these tours, and they'd go on these other type of concerts, and mostly like the tours. And because how those are run, let's say, I don't want to mention any names, because I'm not trying to bash anybody, but like some of these major tours and major festival tours, and so you get on the bill, and since you're the low person on the totem pole, you'll start between 9:30 and 10 o'clock in the morning when hardly anybody's there, and then you'll have to the way of you make your money is selling your merchandise to hardly anybody that's there, because when you're done playing, there's the booth, there's a table, you go by the table and try to sell your merchandise. And it's rough. We had friends of ours that they had to bail out of a tour because of it. They were running out of money. And then they'd come back and they'd say, oh, now I understand why you're doing what you're doing, Dave. Well, half of these people, my guitar buddies, when I was my late 40s, approaching my early 50s, they were in their 30s. So they're like 10 to 15 years younger, and they really didn't understand why I would say the things that I would say. When you're young, you got time on your side. As you get older, you don't really have that much time on your side. You got to really think smart. So after they went through these situations and they had to bail out of these tours, they were like, now we understand what you're saying. And I would say, you didn't really fail. You didn't fail the industry. Most like the industry kind of failed you. So you just pick up and move forward. That's all. But yeah, Michael B. I want to touch bases with Michael B. because he's got a series that he wants to do with talking about like different record producers and that and things that inspired us. And plus your rehearsal studio, Michael B. is awesome, man. You got that screen back there, dude. That is so cool. You right there could do so much awesome videos, man. It's yeah, your channel's gonna explode. So yeah, subscribe to Mr. Michael B. Subscribe to everybody here, because everybody's got something unique. Of course, look at me, I'm trying to catch up. Okay, alright. So Old Man Dan, if they are 9 holes, that is vintage relief. So yeah, I don't know exactly how many that they had, if you're referring to that, but I do know. Or modern, you see, yeah, you know what? Okay, good. Because Guitar Hack says you got the modern weight relief, and then you have the vintage, I think. And I think this is more like the vintage. Because I literally held both the guitars up, and mine was definitely a lot heavier than my friend's. His was like a lot lighter. Yeah, Guitar Hack, $10,000 equals 3 Les Pauls, my friend. See, if I'm gonna spend money like that, then I'm gonna try to get as much bang for my buck. And I'll tell you what, with $10,000, maybe I'll buy a Les Paul, and then a whole bunch of the cheaper Ibanez guitars. Because I'll tell you what, there's something really magical with these little Ibanez guitars, or guitars that are relatively inexpensive. If part of your show is to put on a show, you don't have to worry about dings and nicks and all that. You could kind of really let yourself really go. And people, some people, they like the showmanship. Some people don't. And I respect everybody's opinion. Yeah, Mr. Jason Wade has Guitar Hack, modern weight relief equals LP. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. Isn't it something? We are the same. Oh yeah. Haley Scott, yes, we're the same age then, my friend. So you remember back in those days, man. I think Guitar Hack, you're just a couple years younger than me. I know Jim Dietrich's around my age. But even if like right now, if you're kind of like from 45 to 55, we're basically from that same era, you know? Where we had AM radios, and then remember the Beta before it was VHS, and the top load, and the wire remote that was like the cord was 3 feet away from the VCR, all that crap, the rabbit ears, you know. Like compared to some of these young kids, they think that we come from prehistoric times or something. See, I'm trying to catch up on some of the checks. Yeah, Eric Johnson played on Christopher Cross album. Okay, so I wonder if that was like his first one, or one of the popular ones that had that song "Ride Like the Wind." Because I was a senior in high school when that came out. I mean, you'd be surprised. Like Greg Howe, I had one of his cassette tapes, Greg Howe, and he's instrumental shred guy. The cassette tape I have, he does a lot of legato. Kind of reminds me of like more of the jazz fusion era, kind of like the Alan Holdsworth with Tony Williams' Lifetime. Really cool stuff. But I think now he'll play with Justin Bieber, or Beaver, or whatever the hell the guy's name is, and he'll play with a few other artists. So it's real interesting. For those of you who have teenage kids, most like teenage girls that want to go see these, these guys, And dad brings your teenage daughter to the concert, and you sit and you're probably thinking, oh man, I gotta sit through this crap. And then all of a sudden, here comes the moment where they let the musicians shine, and it's like, whoa, okay, this is awesome. Because I remember seeing Sheila E. Not the other Sheila, but Sheila E. And she had that song Glamorous Life, and she had that video back in the 80s. Well, a girl I was teaching bass guitar lessons, I think she couldn't pay me a couple. Something was going on with her job, but she had to take it, so she offered to pay me as part of the lessons. I said okay. So she drove. We went to the concert, and I was amazed. It was not like See, here's the deal. So you have what the radio plays, and then when you go see them in concert, it's like what they want to play. It's like Yanni. I don't know if any of you guys ever seen Yanni in concert. And you might think, oh, that's boring. When you see him in concert, it's nothing but boring. And actually, Yanni and his drummer used to be in a local Chicago band called Chameleon. And I think they were out of Champaign-Urbana, Illinois. So, southern Illinois. So, yeah, and that was very early 80s he was in that band. It was progressive rock. So then, of course, I'm missing the chat. See that? This happens when I get talking. Yeah, back when Chris Cross had his hits on the radio. So that was definitely one of them. My best LP deal was Used, 2005 standard. A little beat up, but sounded great. Yeah, you know what? I remember 1980. There was two music stores in Chicago I used to go to. One was Chicago Music Company, which was on Addison. It was on Lincoln Avenue, just around the corner from Addison Avenue. But on Lincoln Avenue, further north, between Gray Street and a street called Byron Street, which everyone used to make fun of me. I should have lived on Byron Street. I should have owned Byron hot dogs, and it had nothing to do with that, But there was this little music store called Wooden Music. And they had a black Les Paul standard, really just like on the back of Jeff Beck's Wired album. That black Les Paul standard, it was selling for $500, man. But here's the deal. At the time I was working at Jewel, because I worked at a bike shop when I was 15. The owner got busted because I was underage, so he got into trouble. So I had to wait till I was 16, and then I had a job at Jewel. I think everyone worked at a Jewel, a grocery store. So minimum wage wasn't jack crap back then, man. So $500 seemed like a lot of money. Let's see it. Sweet. Oh, the Zach guitar. How old do you have to be an old man? Let me tell you something about down here in Southwest Florida. They call this God's waiting room. How about it, Deb? Yep. The first time we did at AmVets, you have their age range, because a lot of these people were in the Vietnam War. So they're a good 10 to 20 years older than me. You got a guy that was like 79 years old. Yeah, rock and roll, boys, rock and roll. They don't want to get old. It's all in the mind. I'll tell you one thing with all this. Now, see, here is what I will say about electric guitar. And I did say earlier about the Antonio Torres guitar for 1864, and seeing a lot of value in that. But what's cool with this is what keeps us young. And a guitar hack, like you said, keeps us out of trouble too, right? But yeah, so yeah, guitar hack was saying about he did the gig and they tell him to turn the volume down, and that's what's happening out here, guys. Everything is like, you can't play loud, you can't this, you can't that. So in reality, the amps, there's a guy I watched a couple of videos today. I forgot his name, and I really feel bad about it because I think I subbed to him too, and I really feel bad about it because I appreciate all my subscribers, and the people I subs to, there's a reason why I sub to them, because They'll have great content, you know. But he was doing a comparison on a little 15-watt Marshall MG series, and I do have a 100-watt MG 112, and we bought it in early 2000s, so it's like one of the first versions. And it's all how, if you crank the master, you got to back down on the gain, and you really get this nice punchy sound. But the reality is, a lot of these places, you know, they would like to see drummers come in with electronic drum sets because they could turn the volume down, you know. They like to tell you what to do. Big Dan Hall, how are you, my friend? I might be catching up a little bit late because I have an arrow going like this telling me, yep, I got more chats. I hope you're doing well, Mr. Dan Hall, Big Dan Hall. I really do. It's always good seeing you. Aha. I ain't growing up. Yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, Chris. See, here's the thing. All the stuff that we see get played on the radio is this, but then it's the live shows. That's why, personally, I've always loved live recordings over studio recordings. The first rock albums I had was back-to-back Aerosmith's live bootleg and Deep Purple Made in Japan, and I actually can't remember which one I had first. And I think I got those albums maybe 1978 or something like that. I can't remember. And there's something magical about that live. Yeah, I hear you, Mr. Guitar Hack. Sometimes it is hard to keep up with it. Do you keep up with your analytics? Watch time do you have? Oh, you know how much watch time? It depends, because sometimes in the afternoon when I'm driving, you know, you can't even be talking on your phone. So, but I have that split in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll watch some YouTube videos while I'm working out my practice chops. Or like today, it rained. It's rained all day today. I did some cleaning in the house. We have a pressure washer. We have actually electric. I don't want to have anything gas down here because of the hurricanes. And you have to have the LP gas, and I just don't want any explosions or anything like that. So we have a Greenworks electric power pressure washer. So I was gonna pressure wash the house, but it rained, so that went down. So basically, what I do is I watch your guys' videos while I'm doing my practice technique. And literally, my practice technique, you know, just, or I'm doing my picking exercise. Real simple, you know. Mr. Soda Pop, how you doing, my friend? So yeah, it's you know, I have 293 minutes of watch time. Yeah. Well, there are times I've kind of, you know, scaled it down a little bit because at first it's like, wow, you know, it's overwhelming. There's so much, you know. So I tried to one day watch this, one day watch that, you know. So that's why sometimes you don't see me commenting so much on the chats because there's only so much you could watch at one time, you know. But you know, I'll give everyone the thumbs up, though, you know, because I really believe in supporting everybody because everyone just supported me, you know. And besides, even not that, you know, there's the reason why I like to reach out to people and tell them, hey, if you got original music, you want me to play it at the gigs, whether you want me to play along or not, you just, you know, give me a description, I'll just play your song. And it's so simple. You don't even have to, you know, send it to Facebook or Twitter or anything. Just write, like, on my comments, say, hey, Dave, check out this video. It's this video. I could watch the video, and I could, from the headphones, plug it right into my loop pedal, get a clean recording, and boom, we're good to go. And the reason why I like to do that is because I remember how hard it was for me. You know, we didn't have people that would want to give you much of an opportunity, although they would say they would. All they would do is take your money and turn around and laugh at you. And keep telling you, yeah, next song, we'll help you. Yeah, next video, or yeah, next week the gig will come. And that's what I mean. We started having to think about taking matters in our own hands, because as soon as we took over the helm, we're able to see results and positive results that yield us to put money in the bank as opposed to taking money out to chase after this organization or that function or whatever the case might be. And I don't really mind it, or I don't try to discourage people from trying things. That's how you're gonna learn. But our last live chat, when Deb mentioned about, we've got a friend that spent like $20,000, and he still has his patent. We have another friend that literally lost his house being strung out from these people. It's a brutal industry, and I hope it doesn't sound like discouraging people, but people really do have to be aware of it. They really do, because I've seen some videos where some people's advice would literally be something to the effect that, you join this organization and we'll see what we could do, maybe perhaps, and if you send money to my Patreon, or whether I'm going to go out here so I can meet these people, but yet I still want you to give me a fee, and then maybe I'll critique your song. And I'm not trying to knock whatever their background is, that they have that background, and and they can do something for you. That's up to an individual. But me personally, some of these people, there's no way in hell I would send them any money. And I don't mean that in a bad thing. Now, if they're being honest, they say, hey, we're trying to raise money because we've never been to this show and we'd like to. That's totally different. They're being honest. But it comes from firsthand experience of getting burned by these people that do a lot of this and very little action. Very, very little action. And then they'd kind of get mad at me. I'd step over their heads to get the gig or something, and they'd say, well, you're not supposed to this because you're just a local guy. What, I would say to them, what kind of comment is that? I'm just a local guy. Hey, you know what? I've had my friend tell me this. The difference between you and Joe Satriani has more money, has more fame. And he wasn't trying to pump my ego. And he was not trying to downplay Joe Satriani. His point is that the difference between all of you and those people is that they had enough money, because a lot of you, I see your videos. You don't have to be shredding like this and like that and all this other stuff. You could be just playing melodies. But if you were to rewind back to the 1970s with those iconic guitar players, a lot of you people are just, bam, you're right there with those iconic guitarists. So another friend of mine who was a drummer I used to play with back in high school, we had this conversation a couple of months ago, and he said to my wife, well, yeah, like Van Halen and Rush and all these other bands, it just seemed that they were able to go on these tours and that. And my wife says, yeah, but the money had to come from somewhere. So when you break everything down, and when the light bulb goes on, and the secret code to get into the in crowd is literally spelled Money, then you kind of figure things out. And then when you start to do like when we do these corporate gigs, and I listen to all these people talking and that, the one thing I noticed, everything had something it was involving money. It was involving of getting a permit, how much to get the permit, or how much to go on this tour, or how many days off could we afford to take off and try to turn a profit. So what we used to do, some of the shows in Illinois, when I teamed up with this vocalist, Renee, she's a great vocalist, by the way, and so we would do these shows for the seniors, and we'd rent out Chandler's Steakhouse in Schaumburg, Illinois, and then White Fence Farm in Joliet, Illinois, and we wouldn't really rent the room. What we would do is buy the meals and sell a ticket and put on a meal and a show for these people. We were making some money. And the group that she was in, she had this group called the Legacy Girls. They were like an Andrew Sisters tribute. Oh, I wish I could disclose how much money she made with that, but I can't because it's out of respect for her. But I'm telling you guys, you would definitely be able to quit your day job. You would definitely be able to quit your day job and just live just off of that. You don't have to worry about even traveling outside of Illinois or the state that you live in, because there are these niche gigs, But what drove us out of Illinois is when they had a hard time passing their budget and raising the taxes, and everything went like that. That's why my wife says, hey, originally we were not going to relocate down here to Florida for another 10 years. And when I had friends of mine, we do a gig for a company called I Landscaping in Schaumburg. And there's a company called there's a website called Gig Masters, and we get all these gigs through them. And my wife would do all the coordinating with them, and through paying us through PayPal, because PayPal is a little bit more secure than these other organizations. My friend told me, he says, Dave, I'm glad I didn't quit my job because I don't know what's going on. He almost quit his job to go full time, and he's another great guitarist. And he was playing with this violinist, and it was like, whoa, this is awesome. But then, the shows were like coming to a dead halt. So that's why we had to do what we had to do, and that's why I always tell people, always have a way out, so that you don't get stuck in a financial hole. Because man, once you're behind in the bills, it's just too hard to get out. Oh, some people just shouldn't drive. Old man Dan, you got it right there, man. Oh, I could tell you stories about down here, man. Yeah, it's definitely different down here. I love it. But we only have so many roads, and then you have canals. So if, like, for instance, back in Chicago, if it would take us 45 minutes to get from our house to, let's say, Chandler's Steakhouse, here it could take maybe 2 hours because of traffic backup. And if you make a wrong turn and you go down the road, all of a sudden it's dead end because there's a canal and there's no bridge. Now you're going to backtrack. So yeah. Jason Soda Pop says, yeah, Jason, I like your videos. Yeah, you got some great videos, man. All of you guys. See, you all got something, you all have something unique. And that was so cool about with YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, you got that right, Guitar Hack. Time keeps ticking. It goes forward, not backward. Even when you put the clock back, it's going to move forward. You know. Oh yeah, we have Fender Guru. Yeah, and Mitch, we need to find a time. Yeah, you know what? I watched a little bit of Fender Guru's video, his live chat, on the replay, and he's got some great stuff, man. Just like how you have it, Michael Bean, with and Michael B. You're gonna be coming up talking about, like, iconic producers that help bands thrive in the heyday. There's another guy I think who's got a great channel, Circular Tone. I mean, there are times he'll say certain things that might be deemed as negative, but when he had that thing about guitar being dead, I know what he meant as far as the heyday of the metal scene. But he really is one of the only other persons I've seen really talk about the situation with playing covers and how hard it gets to play covers when they want to come after you. And it's not just going to be on YouTube, my friends. It was literally, they'll have representatives all over. And I don't think it's that hard if you want to be working for them. They pay you a couple extra bucks. It's kind of like now you get paid watching other people's videos. And all you got to do is just hang out at a club and find out what's going on and report back to them. And if they want to come after you, they're gonna do it, because we did not write those songs, and we don't even have ownership to perform them. So there is a difference. I know you got this DistroKid. My understanding on DistroKid is if you want to sell it, whether on the internet or even at a show, but you still have the performance. So if you're doing 4 sets and you're doing nothing but covers, you still drawing pay, no matter how big or how small. You're still making money off of you performing those covers. That's the other part. That's the other aspect. It's called performance rights, and they can literally says, hey, you don't even have the right to perform those songs because you're making money. We're losing money. You're making money. So write your own stuff and go out there and play. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, guys. Jimmy T was the alternate picking arpeggios on my video. Okay. So Soda Pop, yeah. I tend more to alternate pick than to tap. and to do sweeps. Okay, here's something interesting. Old Man Dan. And again, I'm following up on the chats here. Vintage is 9 holes. Modern is triangles. And then you have chambers. Okay, so then this would be vintage. Because I saw a video on the 2013 Les Pauls. Okay, now this is a while back. And I'm almost positive it was the 2013 Les Pauls that had the holes. And there was not many. I was saying like maybe 9 of them. I really didn't sit and count them, but that would explain why this is. It's light, but it's not light. If you know what I mean. So yeah, and again, shout out to everybody out there, and explore. Soda pop. Just woke up. Sorry, guys. You know how it is. Okay. Now, here's something. Tracks. 8 tracks. My, one of these days, I'll do like a video of all the recorders that we have. I have a Korg D888. And actually, that's what's in here. With a lot of my, with a Tascam CD burner. With a compressor, BBE compressor limiter, and I got something else in there, an equalizer, you know. But it'll do 8 tracks recording simultaneously, you know, and it's actually like a mixer. Then we got the DR or the D3200, which will record on 12 tracks at one time. But yeah, actually before that we got the Yamaha AWG16, and I think a track messed up on it because when we bought it, the guy at Guitar Center UPS literally went like this, and someone went like that and it fell on the floor or something, and we didn't know, but it still works. And now we got the Tascam DR3200, but it'll do 8 tracks at a time, you know. So again, trying to 51 with the brain of 15-year-olds. Yeah. Hey, guitar hack. It's alright, my friend. That's what keeps you young. You know, as long as, and when it becomes of the serious things in life, the necessities, then all of a sudden you just zoom. You become focused and you take care of action. You know, I've been in situations like that I can't really disclose unless I get the permission to disclose, you know. Yeah, Hadley, love Kiss. I seen Kiss's farewell tour back in 2000. That was their final show. Of course, we know what, you know. But Kiss was a great band. They were innovative back then. Yeah, I just saw. Thanks. This is Les Paul Standard Plus, and I don't know if that is what they call it, triple. I think it's a double A flame. You know, honey burst. Thanks, I really appreciate it. Rabbit ear antennas, yeah, Big Dan all. Remember those? And then you had the selector. Now these TVs, you know, if you lose the remote control, you're screwed. How do I turn the thing off? Just unplug it, you know. Some of these people, their ideas. I understand the convenience, but boy, you know, not everybody that you know, just because you hit 50 doesn't mean 51 you drop dead. You know what I mean? And everyone falls off the face of the earth. I mean, it's incredible how some of these people they literally only think of one generation. They don't think of everybody. And the older people are the ones with the money. They're the ones that are actually buying things. You know. I'm trying to catch up, guys. Interesting fact: when Van Halen was still a bar band, they played really well. I think Van Halen. I think they were called Mammoth. And then David Lee Roth wanted to use the name Van Halen, and would tell Eddie, turn around so no one can see what you're doing, you know. Oh yeah, it does. Jason White, yeah, she was, man, and an incredible percussionist. Holy crap! Great showgirl. You know, she had showmanship. She literally came out on stage, slid across the stage, stood up, grabbed her sticks, and just started playing the timbales and was kicking ass. It was incredible. Throwing the sticks, catching them. I mean, it was just holy crap, you know. And then they would extend some of their radio friendly songs so that you got to see what the musicians really can do, you know. I saw Prince with Sheila. Yeah, yeah, Guitar Hack. There is a girl. I think she's married now. I forget what her last name is now, but her name was Hannah Ford. She's from Chicago. We did a show together, but we didn't actually play together. She had to leave because she was still underage. This was up at Penny Road Pub in South Barrington. Well, she got the gig with Prince, but Prince, when he was alive, he did not want anything up on the internet. Nothing. Couldn't. No YouTube videos. Nothing. So that must have been really hard for her because all the videos I saw of her, she'd be like maybe in L.A. or New York or wherever it was. I think in L.A. She'd be in these clubs just doing these open jams. And she's a great percussionist, a great drummer. But you see, there's a side of the music industry that it's just like your day job. You are told what you can and you cannot do. You're bought. When you get signed to a record label, remember you're working for that company. And like my wife said about the golden rule in business, because a lot of you people know this, you know, the person who has the money makes the gold. He who has the gold makes the rules, you know, because they're the ones that's, you know, flipping the bill. That's why, from our personal experience, things happened for us in a positive way when we took over the helm, and it was our money we were spending. We funded our own road shows. We funded our projects. That's when we were able to turn a profit. You know, I got people down here when they see me on the phone calling these places. They're like, "Damn, you know, you're a good marketer." I says, "No, I just want to get the gig. You know, just it's simple yes or no for me." But you have to have some sort of an outgoing personality, because if you don't, remember there's like 500 people standing in line waiting to get that same gig. You know, so. And the funny thing is, when I was in high school, I was always kind of shy and, you know, kept to myself and that. But what happened was, as you get older in life, you start realizing, hey, if I don't say something, if I don't do something, nothing's going to happen. And just like something will just click. And you kind of become proactive. I don't want to say aggressive. You become very proactive. And I said this in a video I did earlier, but I didn't post it up. About getting gigs. You have a lot of good people, and I played for a lot of good places down here. You know, when I mention names of places, those are the places that are good to me. And if they were to say, well, Dave, you know, your show, it ran its course and we're going to change, so we'll take a year off or whatever, hey, that's fine, because I honor them, because they gave me an opportunity, you know. And, you know, that's it. You kind of, you cycle through. When I was doing the Top 40 circuit back in the 80s, you know, everyone's on the same circuit, but you kind of like, you rotate through each club. That's just how it is. You don't get burned out, you know. But I literally, there was a couple people, and I look back at this, and this is fairly recent. I had to do this in person, face to face. Had like a little bit of a debate with them, and basically I told them, I says, you know what? The one guy, he does the festival. He runs sounds for some of the festivals down here, and I appreciated he wanted to hire me and put me in a band that needed a guitarist. I do appreciate that, but I was trying to sell our duo, and he's flat out telling me I need a band. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. There's some people who like what we're doing, and there is some people who not like what we're doing. There's some people that don't like my personality, or they don't like my guitar playing, and that's fine. You know, they're entitled to their opinion. But I told him, you cannot say that nobody wants that, because you are using a blanket statement. And I told him, I said, so I guarantee if I go to your next festival and I take you by the hand and give you a cookie and go to every single person and ask them, would you want to see a duo or would you not want to see, especially if they look like they're putting on a show? Chances are you might get 50-50. You might get, I don't care. And I literally did this at Tinley Park at one of the Ozfest concerts. If you got one guy on that stage but they're kicking ass and they're not singing, would you still watch the show? I had a guy tell me, yeah, if he's kicking ass, we don't care as long as we're having a good time. Proof in the pudding. So I tell this to this guy, and he didn't know how to answer me, and he's just one negative after another negative after another negative, and finally I just said, you know what? If I want to host my own festivals, it'd be real easy for me to do. All I gotta do is get the permit. You know, talk to City Hall, get the permit, talk to the fire chief, find out how much it'll cost to get them out on the, out there, because you gotta have EMT or emergency response team. You gotta have them out there. Find out what their cost is. The porta potties, find out what that is, and yeah, it's gonna cost. But when I told him that, basically I'm saying I don't need you. That kind of shut him down real quick. Because again, he thought it was some long-haired guitar player that's going to get on his hands and knees and beg. And I'm sorry, I'm not desperate like that. That's kind of like really degrading yourself, You do I try to do things very positive and very politely. That's why I tell people I work with their budget. But when they want to get ridiculously stupid, I just walk away. I don't even want to deal with that crap. No way. Another person, she was playing that game with me right at her club. I left her one of our business cards, one of these, So she's looking at the card, and that kind of looks cool, yeah. But she's playing games with me. And it's not just that day. She's kind of strung me out. So I get in my car. I go around the corner to the music store, Educators Music. They weren't open yet, so I'm waiting. So I drive back. I'm thinking, you know what? This cost us money. Maybe someone else would want the business card, and maybe I could do business with them. So I go in. I said to the lady, and she had customers right there. So I go to a spot where we're away from her customers, because I like to do things one-on-one. I'm not out to embarrass or call anybody out or anything like that. I'd rather do it one-on-one, personal. I said, miss, I think I need to see my card because there might be a misprint on the phone number. Oh, okay. She goes to the area, and she hands me the card, but I got to walk to the area, but now there's customers there. So I figure, well, she wants to call a shot, let her. So I grab my business card, and I look at it, and I says, yeah, miss, I'm no longer interested in playing in your club. I said, if you want to be biased, we can't do business. Flat out. And when I went to turn and walk away, the look on her face was that's the first time that she got shot down. And it's because she's playing games. And there's people out there like that. So, follow everyone back. Thank you. I know I go, Nine Phantoms. Again, I'm like way behind in my chats. When you say about you like Yanni now, let me tell you guys, there's a lot of us rockers and shredders. It's not just guitar music we like. And, if you go to talk with Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Dave Mustaine, Yngwie Malmsteen, they're going to like things other than rock, Never be embarrassed to say something that you like something. Saxon, remember Saxon was a great band. What was the other band that did Swords and Tequila? Riot. Not Quiet Riot, but it was Riot. I'll tell you what, man, back in the 80s, we had some great stuff. Prince was the most talented guy I've ever seen. You know what? A friend of mine, Guitar Hack, he had an album by Prince called For You. And, of course, Prince played all the instruments on it. And it was more like fusion than it was pop, But he was very talented. Very, very talented. And it's a shame. It's a shame what happens, Alex R. still, yeah. See, I got my first Les Paul a year ago, and obsessed. And abused. You have an Epi Alpine White custom. Okay, the custom. I have the Studio Alpine White. Well, they're great guitars, man. For the money, holy crap, you can't go wrong. But I will agree. See, I was at the 1980 NAMM show in Chicago, and that's when I first saw the Epiphone Les Pauls. And this, I gotta put some strings on it, is the lawsuit guitar. Gibson Epiphone. It's originally called a Spotlight guitar, but because it looks like Paul Reed Smith, they got sued. And the reason why I know there was a lawsuit going on is because this is they only ran that model 1 year, 1987 to 1988. Now, if there was no lawsuit going on, and I did not ask them if there was a lawsuit, you know, I found all this out later. But when I look back at time, it makes sense because don't you think if that model was such a success, it would be at the 1989 NAMM with the Les Pauls, with the ES35s, with the SGs, with all the other stuff. It was nowhere to be found, my friends. And I was not just passing through the Gibson booth. I was playing in the Gibson booth that whole day. I met Tommy Tedesco, who used to write the articles for Guitar Player magazine, did a quick jam at the PV booth. Adrian Vandenberg, I really didn't know it was Adrian Vandenberg, but it was he had a sling on his wrist. Met Willie, the bass player from David Letterman. Eddie Van Halen was there, but I didn't get a chance to see him. George Van Epps was there. Herb Ellis was there. And there's a whole shitload. I mean, I wish we had this technology I could walk through, you know. But I was literally sitting talking with these people and that, and you know. But nowhere in sight was the lawsuit guitar. So this is what happens, you know. And again, everyone to sub each other. I really, go ahead, sub everybody, man. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about, my friends. Keeping the guitar alive. See, this is what's cool. This is what inspired me. When I started seeing all you guys, like, damn, this is kick-ass. I've only been doing this maybe about 7 or 8 months. I mean, I have the other channel, but my wife would take care of all those videos and all that. And we didn't know about we could sub, and you know, now with the live chat and everything. So everything, I'm like Guitar Hack, like I said, I'm still new to this, man, you know. Connecting, my friends. We had a little bit of power go out. Oh, David Stanford, how are you, my friends? Yeah, all you guys are very inspiring, my friends. Tedesco was a monster. You know, he was a monster. He was a fantastic guitar player. So much insight. He is on countless. Everyone, I want to say everyone in our generation has definitely heard Tommy Tedesco play. Whether he was on a TV commercial, a TV show, a radio show, whatever, you heard him play. Now, and it's I really feel bad of his passing. But there's something that I will say. Yeah, it was 1989 NAMM show at the at Chicago. It was at McCormick Place. They ran one more year after I was there, and then because you know Illinois is impossible to do business with, you know, you do a trade show. If you want to buy a case of pop, you have to buy it through them. The same case of pop you get at Jewel for like, you know, maybe $12. You gotta spend $36 there. They won't let you in. I mean, it's ridiculous. One of the shows I did at I can't remember the name of the hotel now. Oh, Deb, she'll know. She's on the phone with her mom. Her mom's wishing her happy birthday. Anyways, so we're at the hotel, and they had it all set up, and I'm getting ready to plug my gear in. The guy says, oh, no, you can't plug it. So I thought there was something wrong with the outlet. I go to the next outlet. No, I can't do this. No, I can't do that. He literally told me I cannot plug anything in. They got to get a union electrician to plug the plug in. You know? This is what happens with politics, my friends. It's horrible. It's horrible, you know? But, yeah, so it was at McCormick Place, and it was a great time. But honestly, if I were to be... Oh, yeah, with Tommy Tedesco. If I were to be a guitar builder, I don't think I'd go... Or a pedal build maker, or... I honestly, guys... It'd be hard for me to say I would go to NAMM when we have internet and we have all the guitar shows, because see, NAMM is business to business. And Deb even mentioned this a couple of days ago. She says it's too bad NAMM, only I think 1 year they opened up to the public. And it wasn't the year I was there. It was another time. But really, NAMM should start considering open up to the public as well and listen to the consumer. Now, I'm not saying the consumer is going to call all the shots, because, you know, you do have to make sure stuff is safe so no one gets electrocuted and fries, you know. But the fact of the matter is, we're the ones buying the gear, you know. So it would be a good idea for them to take that in consideration. But if it's something like the bragging party, then that's okay. They could kind of keep that, because if I was a builder, I would find the other outlets and I could sell my product directly to the customer. Directly to the customer. Because there's nothing worse than dragging all this stuff around, anticipating to sell it to a music store. They can't buy it. Now you got to drag it all the way back, and you lose money. Because like I said, Deb told me back in 1989, 1990, to rent a booth, you're looking at $2,500 for that whole week. That's back then. Can you imagine what it is now? Maybe they came down in the price. I don't know. But anyways, with Mr. Tommy Tedesco, the only thing I was disappointed in, and the only reason I'm saying this is that maybe this young man, or maybe he's my age, you know, maybe he sees this video, and he probably figures, wow, at least there was somebody in my corner. This guy literally went up to Tommy Tedesco with his Ibanez X Series. He had a red Destroyer. And the guy said to him, you know, I cannot afford much because I got a family and I got to work. But, you know, I look up to you and I think you're one of my idols. You know, would you please play my guitar? So Tommy takes it. Now maybe Tommy was joking, but kind of joking in a bad way. But he said in front of everybody, man, what is this, a piece of crap? What is this? And the look on the guy's face that looked up to him was like, he was hurt. He was really hurt. And right then and there, I didn't say anything because I was invited, and here's an iconic figure, and I'm just the janitor that works over at the NAMM shows got more rank than me, okay? But I think now, since time elapsed in my life, I might have talked to him in one-on-one. Because at some point in your life, you forget about all the stars. You just start to look at what's right and what's wrong, you know. And when you see someone that gets that hurt, that affected, that badly, that's not right to do. That is not right to do. And you know what? I would have no problem saying something, and I'd be polite about it. Try to do it one-on-one, and say, "What the hell's wrong with you, man? Can't you see this guy? He's got a family. He's doing everything he can. He looks up to you. Don't you have any respect for him?" See, the problem is, no matter how far you get in life, when people support you, you cannot forget those people. You can't look down at them. You know? Remember, you put your pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. And I know some people have told me, "Wow, Dave, would you really say that?" I says, "Yeah, I would." What are they going to do to me? They're not going to shoot me. Are they going to give me a bad reputation for standing up for what's right? I don't, if they do, it's fine, But I really believe in supporting the so-called little people that they call us, I'd rather be the little people than to be someone stepping on somebody else, How about Waylon Jennings? I'm going to tell you something, guys. I've never really been big into country. Now, my vocalist, he is, and, I'll say, okay, we'll check it out. But I have a lot of respect for those people, a lot of respect for those musicians, because you are going to get nothing but top-notch musicians. You go to Nashville, my friends, and you're going to get the cream of the crop right there. And, God bless them for that. They're wonderful people. They are incredible musicians. And, there has a lot to be said. Just like, now, to say something very positive about Tommy Tedesco, he was an iconic musician. He will always have a place in all of our hearts. It's just that was just that one bad moment. And maybe he was just joking. But I really feel he should have looked at the guy and said, okay, maybe I. And maybe he did apologize at the end of the day, and I didn't see. And actually, I could be wrong, but I know what I saw. I was right there. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's like looking at a UFO. You know what I mean? So let's see. I'm trying to catch up with my chat. My wife's talking with her mom. He did TV shows too. Yeah, he did everything, man. Tedesco was the man. You get the Guitar Player magazines, and just to read the articles. That's like, remember Steve Morse used to run an article. I think it was called Open Ears, and he would tell his experiences, you know. And some were good, and some were not so good. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think Steve Morse not only flew planes, but he was also a carpenter. You know, you'd be surprised, guys. You know, people's backgrounds before they became stars, that they still in the back of their mind think, if this goes, the party is ended here, I know I've got this skill here. That's why it's so important when I would say about having that backup plan. Mr. Casper Boo, how you doing, my friend? Yeah, and I also want to congratulate Guitar Hack for hitting over 100 subs, you know. You know, honestly, guys, when I see videos, I don't look at how many subscriptions a person has. I just look at the video. And if I like it, I could care if they have a half a prescription, you know. It's good, and I'm gonna give them the thumbs up. Yeah, R2, R3. I'm pretty late on catching up on this chat, but Illinois sucks, man, and boys, it's sad. It is sad to see my home state, Chicago, my home city, go down the toilet like this. I mean, literally, it's not even a sloop, like a slip. It's like a hard 90 degree. Like, you know, anyone that works in a trades, 90 degree elbow or hard 90, you know, it's like that. Fast, crash and burn, my friends. Real sad, real sad, because Chicago's got a lot going for it. Another thing, we belong to another organization called Guitar Foundation of America, and they're strictly classical guitar competitions and conventions. We've joined that organization in 2002, I believe, and we've been a member ever since. From 2002 up to now, I have yet to see an ad saying they're going to be in Illinois or in Chicago. You know, that's how bad it is. So again, I'm, you know, trying to catch up, trying to have something really, you know, check out some of you guys. Ace Frehley he did get electrocuted. You know what? Okay, now, I think Guitar Hack will be able to testify, as well as a lot of you other people out there. The difference between being shocked, and I've gotten shocked, and being electrocuted. When I was at a trade school, I had this substitute teacher, was one of the best that was out there, Mr. Phil Candela. He said he was being electrocuted because instantly you stick. You hear a loud piercing sound, you don't know what's going on. His son had to get him off. So, and well, since I, you know, Guitar Hack, you know, you teach the trades and electrician. What Mr. Candela told us, if you ever have to test a live wire when you're servicing a blower wheel, you know, blower motor on a furnace, because, you know, wires are hanging over. If you have to, make sure you always touch with the back of your fingers. Because if you go like this, and you get, not zapped, but you get electrocuted, boom, it grabs you, and you're stuck, and you're like this. But your fingers is not going to bend backwards. You'll have more of a chance of getting yourself free. So, yeah. Blind River sucks. I don't know where that's at. Ace is out playing shows. You know, I think he is. Yeah, matter of fact, he is, because I know I've seen a video, fairly recent. And, you know, so is Gene Simmons. He's got his own band, you know. See, everyone's getting old, my friends. It's like, when we were young, we thought time would always just stand still. You know what I mean? But we find out real fast it doesn't. Sage's hand needs to get it. Yeah, yes, you're right. You know what, Hadley Scott, you're right. You're supposed to tell him the stage hand needs, yeah. But there are times things happen. There are distractions. There's distractions that, you know what, you can tell if someone is really focused on their job. And when you do these concerts and you, let's say, you get to run sound, 'cause one of the things my wife did, ran sound professionally. She would notice, and you know, some of the other, you know, she was one of the only females in the trade of running sound, and a lot of them were guys. So she was up against that, and she was also up against some of the sound guys. As soon as the girl walks in with the mini skirt, they forget, you know, and the distractions that can happen left and right, left and right, left and right, and this is when the accidents happen. Dark stage, someone trips, someone gets hurt. When we would do the casinos, we would have to have insurance cover $1 million, because if someone tripped over a cord, they're gonna go on a suing rampage, man. They break a fingernail, and next thing you know, they're in court in a body cast and a neck brace, and they're like this, but they broke a fingernail. See, the story gets bigger and bigger, and then the lawyers go after whoever has the money, and then the casino says, well, you know, it wasn't us, this guy. You better get insurance, man. We ain't get paid for this. You're a casino, you know. You got money. The casinos are in business to win, right? So I'm like very bad at getting catch up with these chats, you know. Yeah, you could go or back. Yeah. Albert Lee is a hell of a guitarist. You got that right. Captain Lee, you know, Lee Ritenour, he's a jazz fusion guitarist as well. Yeah, again, see, I have no idea how far back I am. Thank you so much, guys. You know, when we do our shows, I make mistakes. Of course, we make mistakes, you know? And the reason why I don't mind having those, just letting that be, because I want people to see that I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not superhuman, and I make mistakes. And when I used to teach, I would have young students. They would get. I would do my best not to try to intimidate them, make them feel bad or anything like that. So, but everything is new to them, and they would have such a hard time just maybe doing a D chord or just holding a note. So I'd flip my guitar left-handed, and I'd be totally uncoordinated. Then their eyes get real big, and that made me realize sometimes what inspires a person is them seeing something that you cannot do, because it almost gives them a little bit more encouragement that, hey, this person is just like me, you know? And trust me, when I flip it the other way, I'm worse than a beginner. And I had people tell me, well, Dave, you could play like Michelangelo. I don't want to learn to play like Michelangelo, because then I'll forget what it's like to be a beginner. And that, remembering what it's like to be a beginner, was one of the greatest things in my teaching career, because I was always able to understand what's going on with that student. And I would always try to make things real simple. That's why I like another thing that Guitar Hack said. Keep things simple. You know, you don't have to show how smart you are, you know, because that discourages people, you know. So, let's see. Steve Morse, yeah. Again, guys, I hate this. Always wanted to visit Chicago, but no, I'm not sure. Yeah, see, Guitar Hack, you know, I know you're up in Toronto, and Chicago has always had a great reputation for like blues and its jazz. And then the local metal scene in the '80s was great. Um, but Chicago always had great musicianship. Great, I forget who it was. I think it was Fender Guru and some of the guys talking about meeting these people from Chicago, these iconic blues guitars from Chicago. I used to be able to talk to these people at the music store because we'd all buy strings together, and it would be like we were just talking, and when I go to again, the signal dropped out. Now we're back, my friends. But yeah, so I'd be, go to like Kingston Mines and do a jam session there and then talk with these people. And Lefty Diz is there, Eddie the Chief Clearwater, all these people there, Joanne Connors, all these people are there, And they'd literally be sitting at the bar, or they'd be, maybe, well, they didn't have much of a backstage, but then, warming up in that. And everybody seemed to be cool. That's what it was. And then see him at the Guitar Center. I remember I ran into, oh God, why can't I forget the guy's name? Oh, this is gonna kill me because he actually recorded one of the acoustic guitar tracks with Jimi Hendrix on All Along the Watchtower. Not Dave Matthews, Dave Mason. I was talking to him a little bit, and nice guy, down to earth guy. So when you meet these people, after a while, it's like, dude, they're just like me. It's just a different thing. When I met Michael Anthony down in at Cabo San Lucas, Cabo Wabo, I was playing poolside at the Malaya San Lucas, and my wife and all our friends are in the pool, and who's in the pool with them? Michael Anthony from Van Halen, and we got talking, and at that time we were getting ready to do auditions for Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and maybe they wouldn't have picked me. I'm not saying, but we were ready. Tell you what, man, now we're back. In and out the signal. But when we did wrote the cover letter to give to the guys who run Trans-Siberian Orchestra, one of the things we wrote in there is that I would know my place, so whatever you guys say, I respect it. How much money is this going to cost us? Because we realize, I'm just a hired gun, and maybe I'd only do one show. Who knows? But we made sure we had the gear to handle the arenas, especially our wireless system, to make sure. And there was no way, shape, or form that I would have done anything to disrespect those people. No way at all. Make sure I got plenty of change of clothes if we're going to be out there, if I'm going to be out there in the full tour. Make sure you got everything that is required, everything that is needed. And they're the ones. They would literally be my boss. That's how it is. But anyways, when we met Michael Anthony, he said, "Yeah, Trans-Siberian is a great band." And Michael Anthony was smart because him and Sammy Hagar, they got their clubs, they got their his tequila. I think Michael Anthony was investing in like spices, and things of that nature. You have to be smart because the party does end, Back in the 80s, everyone thought it was never going to end. And then as soon as Nirvana came out, that was it, man. If you had long hair and you played a guitar solo, you're not in, man. You're out. No one wants to hear that, So, yeah. We saw Trans-Siberian Orchestra 2 years ago. Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah, Mitch Heyman, good seeing you. Yeah, TSO, nothing like it, man. Totally awesome. Nickelback was headlining. It was a good show. Nothing bad happened. Yeah, I mean, see, it's bad what you see on the news, what's happening. It's not like it's happening every single day, but I could guarantee there's areas you just can't walk down. Now, I grew up, so I was a native Chicagoan, and I used to go to all these neighborhoods with my friends. We used to hang out at Humboldt Park back in the 80s. And, back in the 80s, long hair, white boy, have the army coat on, the guitar. But I got along with everybody because I wasn't, the styles of music I'd play. I'd sit down and jam with these people, and then we forgot all about our ethnic backgrounds, and we saw people playing music. And that's when I really realized that these areas that are bad doesn't mean that everybody in those areas are bad. It's the people that make it bad. You have a lot of really good people that used to be in those housing projects, a lot of upstanding, great people that was their home and they don't want to get rid of their home. They were fighting for their home. All the Robert Taylor homes that eventually got tore down, all those people that first moved in there, that they were born, they were raised, and they wanted to keep their neighborhood up, they stood their ground, you know. They were not all bad people, but you see, this is what happens when the bad people are able to just go nuts, and it scares people away. I used to ride the CTAL train. I used to watch these people. They'd get together. They'd watch the people from the suburbs come out to the Wrigley Field, to the Cubs game. And they'd get on the train with them. They'd play this little, like, it's like a peanut, a shell game. You know, try to guess what cup it's in. And they'd have each other, they'd pretend like they were, the first time they were meeting them. But really, all three of them would be in cahoots with each other. So they would watch all the other people. I would sit on the train watching this. I'm like, dude, I saw you last week do the exact same thing and the week before, so I know you're doing a scam, you know? And they'd look. Okay, guys, sorry about that. You lived about 3.5 hours from Chicago. Dave Sanford, okay. Yeah. You know, there's bad neighborhoods in every town, or in every state, you know. Used to deliver furniture in Compton, L.A. Oh, when they would come out and go, yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, you know, same thing would happen. Yeah, Robert Taylor homes. Those were south side of Chicago. They got tore down. Especially same with Cabrini Green. All these rehearsal studios I used to go to, they were abandoned warehouses, and there was a new one that opened up. This was like 1980. I want to say 1987, 88, somewhere around there. There was a studio that opened up on Elston Avenue, but when you came down and you turned the corner, there was the big sign, Cabrini Green. And that was a housing project. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, we're walking the streets, you know. We did a function a couple years ago back at Humboldt Park, and of course it did like a 180 change, man. It was like, holy crap, you got college students, you got wealthy people walking around. I'm like, are you kidding? I had to tell Deb, let me see that sign again. It does. It says it's Humboldt Park. Of course, everything changes. You know, when you move away and you come back 10, 15, 20 years later, nothing really does stay the same. It'll start to change, right? So they really totally build up that neighborhood. And then on Damon Avenue, just south of North Avenue, we did this private gig at this restaurant. And by the time we were done playing, we're packing up. It's between 12 midnight and 12:30 a.m. on a Friday. And you got young college girls by themselves walking around, an old guy walking around down the street, real nice. I told Deb, Deb, I look at this street right here, and I see 1984, 1983, and there's no way in hell you would see young college girls with miniskirts walking down the street without something happening. No way. And there was one guy that lived on the second floor. He came down, he says, yeah. He says, you're right. Because I remember the gangbangers used to beat each other up, and if they killed somebody, they'd throw the body over the fence. You know? But see, things do change, you know? I shouldn't have gone on that long about that story, but also downtown Chicago, if you work downtown, you have to lock the doors because they'd steal everything. You know, that's how it was, man. But other than that, the Chicago blues scene, oh man, we had a great scene back in the day, man. We really did. 20 minutes from Chicago, people are cool, yeah. Politicians suck, yeah, R2, R3. I got other stories about that too, because I would do corporate gigs, and we got hired to do this function for all the Democrats at Brookfield Zoo, and this is just before Judy Pard Topinka passed away. She was there. She was the only Republican there. She's greeting everybody. Then you had these young Democrats, not all of the Democrats, but you had some of them that were snobby, and you had some of the servers at this function, and they happened to be Hispanic. And the one guy, the waiter, is asking this one lady, she's running for alderman, asking, Miss, you want some more water? And this lady is ignoring this guy. And then the guy, after they left to take pictures, the guy says to his friends, they think we're dumb Mexicans, but they don't realize, hey, we're legal citizens. We vote. And I thought, good for you, man. Yeah, that's wrong for these people to do that. Take advantage of people because they think they're stupid. The joke was on that lady because she just lost the vote. So, but I tell you what, guys, I stay away from all the politics now because, I've seen too many people go down the tubes, man. Let's see. Mitch Heyman says, guitar hack, just trying to see if a 63-year-old can get better at playing. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you definitely can. You know what? It's not how fast a person plays. It's what you do is what you know. And just like Guitar Hack said earlier on his live stream. I think even Guitar Girl was mentioning something about that. And I think someone also mentioned on Guitar Hack's channel about the box, the box pattern, blues box. The best thing to do is just experiment with notes outside the box, like, okay, that's a note inside the box. Go down a half step. See, what helps, and we're going to be ready soon to launch our DB Guitar Jams, which will be an online lesson course. There's a one-time annual sign-up fee that Deb is going to have. The price, it's going to be ridiculously affordable. Because I believe in helping people out, not ripping people off, Back again, my friends. But yeah, Guitar Hack said, yeah, let's play guitar, Dave. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Yeah. I know, you guys are alright, man. Yep. The drama and the politics, give it, right? So Guitar Hack, he said it best, you could show how smart you are, or you could really help somebody out, And I remember, so basically our guitar jams, our DB guitar jams, is going to be just that, And actually, I recommend people learn from as many people as possible because I'm self-taught and that's how I learned. Yeah. Okay, you know what? It's, Mitch Heyman, I know it's very, very difficult, right? But you're busting your butt trying to play the proper speed. Okay, now here's something that's good. Until you get to what's the proper speed, and I'm not knocking that terminology, play a speed that you can handle but make it sound musical. So in other words, it's like you rewriting Cliffs of Dover, but you're playing it at a pace that you know you can handle, but when you add emotion to it, you might actually like your pace better than the faster pace. And what happens is that over the course of time, you'll push the envelope a little bit, but you're not going to feel like you have to because someone said, well, it's not the right speed, No, do it where it's comfortable, make it sound musical, and over that course of time, you're going to naturally progress in speed. Now, you're going to have something really good. You'll be able to play it fast and have good technique, but you'll also be able to play it slow and have great technique and great phrasing. Because speed without melodies, it's very hard, It is very difficult. Then speed it up. Exactly. Now, there's a lot of pieces I have a difficult time with because I'll take something and I'll build ideas off of it, But like, for instance, when people would say about the blues box being boring and that, well, you could do this. One thing to do, still having problems with the solo to Cinnamon Girl. You know, that right there is really kind of hard to comp because it's also the tone. You know what I mean? Oh, I have the intro on my YouTube site. I did a lot of editing. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. If you practice too fast, it will be, yeah. Yep, exactly. You're always better to play slowly and accurately. You know what? Guitar Hack, yeah, all you guys are just, you're nailing this. You are totally nailing this. Absolutely, 100%. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with a person when they say, but you have to learn to play fast so you learn what the sensation is. Basically, how to sync the two. See, there's the danger point, though. If you constantly try to play like that, and in your mind you think, well, I guess I could just add a whole bunch of gain and distortion over, and I'll be all right. If that's what you want, that's fine. But chances are, if you had to do anything with a cleaner sound or pick up acoustic, that's when you really know that, if people really have that speed or not. And still, it doesn't mean that they're not a good player. You know. Again, the phrasing is more important. To me, I like the speed burst mixed with melodies. So one thing that I will definitely in great detail discuss on my DB guitar jams is, the theory behind it, but to simplify it. For me, I look at this fretboard, I'll see certain patterns, but I actually see the notes, in letter form, That's your E, that's C, that's B, that's A. When, people say, Dave, do you do the Phrygian? I gotta kind of think or cheat look at my book, but I know what I'm playing. And I'll ask them, well, what are your notes that you're playing? Give me them in letters. And a lot of these people, they don't know that. So if a person takes like the blues box, and I'm gonna use this as an example, like phrasing it and making it sound melody. Okay. So if I wanted to stay with just those notes, traditional, pentatonic, I know what I just did was I slide to A, I went to C, I went to D, I went to E, I went to G, A, and C. Now, I could take those up an octave without going too far up an octave. But because I know where my notes are laid out, I could do this. There's my A, there's my C, D, slide up to E. See, my E on the 12th, I'm in the 7th fret, is basically that E on the 5th fret. Part of the box scale, right? I could go to my G. Here, I could go up to A, which is the octave of that A, which is this A is that A. I could go to my C, go to my D, which is the octave of that, and go to my octave of E. That's your octave. 12th fret is your octave, and that E is that E. So now I just expanded without, thinking I gotta know a gazillion notes. But what I did is I took that box scale and I spreaded it out. I don't want to do B, so let's say stay away from B because it's not part of the box scale, right? The only thing I went higher, really, is the high D, which is the octave of that, and the higher E, which is the octave of that E, which is basically that E. It's really not that difficult. Once you know what these notes are, you'll never be lost. People could throw modes at you, this, that at you. Those are terminologies, basically. And I'm not knocking them because they're like shortcuts. Like, when people used to write shorthand, or now when people text shorthand, it's just, It's a shorter version of explaining something. But when I used to play at the Bristol Renaissance Fair, the guy would be behind me talking and telling me, well, it's this key, it's that key, it's this note, it's this. I would just simply ask him, if you're playing around D major chord, that's all I need to know. I could play melodies around D major chord. That's basically, I don't need to, it's one thing you want to talk to me backstage and say, listen, Dave, we're doing this, doing that, so we're going out there. But literally, as we're greeting people, because we'd have like a little parade and people out there. So when you're performing and you're doing something like that, like the Renaissance Fair, and you're actually being in the parade, you're performing, you got people want to come in, they're happy, they're looking forward for the day. The last thing they need to see is some guy yelling, it's an E major flat, sharpened 11th, flat at 13th, and the guy in front of him like, dude, what are you talking about? It looks like there's something going on that shouldn't be going on. And it strikes me odd because people who have all these degrees, and that's fine, I'm not going to degrees, but if you're really that smart, you would see that this moment of time, that's not the place to talk about that stuff. These people want to come in, they want to have a good time. Put the happy face on, move forward, and greet those people, make them feel welcome. They're going to have the best day of their life here. So what if you make a mistake? They're still going to have the best day of their life. Because when they go home, they're going to forget all about your mistake. And that's the reality, my friends. I know it might be. I'm not justified being a hack. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I've heard stories, and I've seen people get into fights over, instead of hitting the crash symbol, they accidentally hit the right symbol, and there's a big fight that breaks out. And I literally saw this in one of my friend's band I was going to sit in and play with, and he just lost it and jumps over the drums, crashing. There goes the cymbals. He's grabbing the drummer. They're in a fist fight over a mistake. Are you kidding me? What happens if you split the guy's head open? Explain that to mom and dad now. You know what I mean? There's a lot more important things in life than hitting the wrong symbol or hitting the wrong note. So don't let anything bother you guys, really. Because I'll never laugh at anybody. No way. I'm nobody to laugh at anybody. I don't care how up high on the totem pole I ever get. I put my drawers on one leg at a time. You guys are all my friends. I don't care what anyone says, But yeah, I have my limitations. And like I said, don't ever worry about what you can and can't do. Guitar Girl had a good video when she's talking about melodies and telling a story. That's it right there. She just nailed it. I started Facebook 4 years ago to connect with the musical level. Yeah. Remember, hey, thanks, Jason Wade. You guys remember MySpace? I think it was called MySpace. Yeah, MySpace. I remember when all this was coming out. And as soon as this was coming out, we did this gig down in San Marcos, Texas. And everybody at the, it was a big festival, 3-day festival. Yeah. Well, yeah, Guitar Hack. Time forces me to play slower and focus more on phrasing. You know what? I don't want to say time forced me. It's all the gigs I had to take. And then realizing that, hey, wait a minute. I gotta breathe life into these songs. For instance, when I was heavily doing the weddings, I think Dave Nesdahl, a good friend, I think Dave lives in California. I could be wrong. Dave Nesdahl was saying on Johnny Beam's one of his chats that, yeah, or I think he was on Ben Coombs' live chat. He mentioned that he did the weddings. And he was actually in a wedding band, so they actually hired the band and not a DJ, which is a good thing, right? So, when I had to do these ceremonies, and the bride would pick these songs. If you notice, you go on my other channel, you'll see me doing, it'll say Shred Motorcycle Sunday. And I'm playing one of my originals. That's my channel. The original's called Midnight Sun. Actually, I was using this guitar. But you'll see all these other videos of me doing 1,000 Years and this wedding song and for that wedding and this and that. What I had to do was take the main melody of that song and breathe new life into it, but I would have to slow the pace down. We would literally have to slow the pace down. And the reason being is, let's say you take a song that has a tempo at, let's say, 100 beats per minute, and it sounds great. But the bride loves that song, but she says, but the only thing, it sounds too fast. But I love that song. So I have to take that main melody, what really connected her with that song, slow it down, and then I remember doing this, taking my metronome and actually walking slow, because you have to envision what's going on in her mind. From this point, Dad's going to walk her down the aisle, or whoever's going to walk her down the aisle, and then here is the podium. I keep forgetting what it's called, but you know. So you got to walk down here. You got to make that musical pace very slow and to help create a story. So as she's walking, this is the most crucial part of a wedding, my friends, because it's dead silence. You are actually like you're playing to a movie. You're playing to a movie scene, and it has to be like spot on. And I don't mean just always in technique. Emotionally, it's got to be spot on. I have lost track account of how many times I've got not only complimented, got tipped. I had a guy postpone his wedding date because that date I was booked up playing a gig, and he changed his wedding date to a date that I had open because he wanted me to play his wedding date. So, yeah, weddings you have to be very like spot on. So to play things slow, that's what I mean. There's something magical. You breathe new life in these songs, and you might really start to really like what you're doing, and you might say, well, I like this pace better than a faster pace. Over the course of time, what happens is you get so good at it, it's like you walk before you run, and when you start running, there's no hiccups. It's just one smooth motion, you know, and that's what really helps. So, yeah, Guitar Girl had something really, really good to say about that, you know. And I started out doing this as Blues Money. It's really Deb's birthday, you know. Thank God Deb's talking to her mom, you know, because I tell you what, she's the best. For me, she's the best I've ever had. She's my wife. Best human being I've ever met. 100% in my corner, you know. I feel very blessed, you know. But yeah, Guitar Hack, when you talk about your Les Pauls and seeing Robert Baker bust out his Les Paul and that, you know, I get inspired by all that, you know. Now, I think I'm going to close this off, but I'm going to do a little jam on something, again, I created from the Digitech. And you know, a person could say, I don't like Digitech, I hate them. That's fine, you know. I'm not Mr. Digitech, I didn't create it. I just use it, you know. And same with the Ibanez guitars. But everything I'm doing right here, oh yeah, you have issues. I highly recommend it. Yeah, let's see. Okay. So again, I missed the chat. The white straps do spread out the weight. Yeah, they really do. You know, especially if you have a heavy guitar. Yeah, colonial leather in Australia. I know. I seen. I don't know if it was Shane in the Blues or somebody else was talking about window straps. They're badass, man. You gotta be comfortable when you play too, you know. I don't know how loud that's gonna be, but this is again using the coil tapping, right? And the out of phase. So you do get this little like funky, quacky sound, I guess you call it. Yeah, it's real simple what I'm using. Um, Now I do have to run this through a powered PA speaker for the full range because of drums and the bass patch that's actually in here, the bass, the sub octave that's in here. But the looping pedals work great, man. You could load up SD card, or you could go right between live looping, and then you can still live loop on the SD card. And on these, you do not have to have an SD card for it to work. Now I will agree with Guitar Hack about certain pedals, yeah, because I also have the ME70. There are some of these pedals when you run them through a guitar amp, the actual pedal itself sounds better. Plus, what is nice about separate effect units, you could actually separate them. So if your feet are big, you don't have to worry about stuff so squished in. Hey Dave Byron, when are you playing live with Mike? Are you going through his PA? Yeah. Yeah, you know what? We are. And let me know if there's any issues that you hear, okay? Through his PA, are you running a powered speaker? Yeah, we were actually running through his PA. He has a separate Yamaha head and unpowered speakers. Now, we still have our speakers. They're powered PA speakers. And sometimes we'll run through our Yamaha mixer. Um, But it's been a little bit tough for us to drag our gear out, especially during the gigs during the week. It just becomes a little bit of hassle, and he said it's a lot easier for him. So, oh yeah, no problem, Nine Phantoms. Yeah, absolutely. There's always pros and cons with all kind of gear. So with the pedals, you can separate them a little bit. You don't have to worry about accidentally hitting another switch. Some separate units, they sound incredible. The only issues I had is that but you always have to make sure you got spare patch cords. Because the more pedals you have with more patch cords, if something goes wrong, it's like you don't know which one it is. What is it, the pedal? Is it this patch cord? That's why when the rack mount systems first came out in the 80s, the first thing that they would say is, oh, get rid of all that messy those pedal boards. You don't have to worry about, cords crapping out. Okay. But sometimes, if you got everything built in one, if the whole thing goes out, you're screwed, So there's always the pros and cons, But for me personally, what I do, this system works best for me because I also have to do stuff acoustically. And I could just, boom, right into the powered PA speaker. And you've seen some of the places we play at, you have a jam man on your wish list. Yeah, I'll tell you what. If you're going to get them, try to get them as fast as you can because I don't know what's going on with Digitech. And if people find out exactly what you could do with these things, then all of a sudden you might see the pedals go up sky high because it's almost literally like having a band in a box that's hands-free, that you don't have to worry about Wi-Fi, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's just bam, set it down, plug it in, you're good to go, But again, you see some of the stages we play at, there's no room, I still have my half stack, but I can't do anything with it. It's just one big loud amp. So it's like, okay, this is what the gigging world has come to, They value a DJ and the musician. Well, those musicians, they're too loud anyway. Look at the DJ. Yes, the DJ, Are you running the Jam Man before or after the guitar? Actually, that's the last thing in my chain. I'll run the guitar into the effect processor and then the effect processor into the Jam Man. Now, if I were to plug this into my guitar amp, I would have to run the Jam Man into the effects loop. And here's the thing with that. Well, okay, if I was only going to use the Jam Man just for guitar, not drums or, just laying down a rhythm guitar, I think I'd be alright running it through the guitar effects loop. Because let's say you want to do a clean, let's say you want to do some, I'm going to clear that track. So let's say you want to do something with a clean sound, right? And so you're doing something like this. And let's see if I get to, now I'm going to add overdrive. You still have a clean sound. If you run this through the front of the amp, when you turn on the dirty channel, that'll distort. So that's why that should really be the last thing in the loop, in the effects chain. Now, if you use something like this, the Digitech, the drop pedal, or Electro Harmonix has something like that, this really should be the first one from the guitar. So it should be guitar into this, then this into whatever effects unit you're using, and then into a looper, you know. Because in this way, you'll always have control over that loop sound. You'll be able to, if you want to distort it, you can distort it. If you don't want to distort it, you won't have to distort it, you know. But if you have that, the first chain, and you're running that into a front of an amp or a distortion box, even though you lay down a clean channel, as soon as you turn on that distortion, your loop rhythm will be distorted because it's running right through that, you know. What's really cool with this, guys, is this has stereo ins and stereo outs, and this is what's really cool. Let me see if I could do this. I think I can. Or I could just take this and show you without popping. Alright, so this is basically what I'm using for my looper. I do have the Boss loop station too, you know, but it's kind of limited from compared to what this does. So you have your record, play, and overdub function. You have your stop and clear, and it does say tempo, but you have to hook up another switch to get into the tempo. And it basically all it does is change it by half. You have your loop down and loop up. Where this comes into play is if you save your loops. Let's say loop number 1 is the intro, loop number 2 is the verse, and loop number 3 would be the chorus. So what you could do while loop number 1 is still playing, you hit the loop up, and then it'll automatically, number 2 will start flashing, and then when number 2 stops flashing, now you're on number 2. Now you at a seamless loop. There's a way you can do this too. You'll have you could go into the next part of the song, and then hit it up again, and you go into the chorus section. Then let's say you want to come back down to intro, you just hit this twice to go back to loop number 1. That'll flash. When loop number 3 is done, it'll automatically go back to loop 1. So, and it does take time to get used to timing the loops, but once you get used to it, man, I'll tell you, it's like you have the whole band right there, all hands free. And I've had people look at me, and they're looking for the computer, they're looking for this, looking for that, and they look down at the pedal board. Their first impression, they see a lot of switches, so they don't know what's going on. And then when I tell them this is how I'm doing it, they're like, oh, dude, that's a good idea. You don't have to worry about Wi-Fi or this or that. Now, here's another thing. You have an SD card, so you can load it up with backing tracks. And again, so go up and down your loop functions. But here it's really cool. So there's your stereo ins, and on the top is your stereo outs. So you could get really good separation if you wanted to. And there's your XLR, and it does have a separate. It'll say mic volume. But if let's say you ran a keyboard through there, you just make sure that the keyboard volume is not real high because it'll get hot. You do have an LED screen now, flash red, if you're clipping. And then you could take this volume and have this volume down so it won't be so hot. You do have a rhythm level. It's like a kick drum and snare, but it'll just go boom, psh, boom, psh, boom, you know, so it's real generic. I never really used that. Let's see, you have a foot switch in to control reverse, a loop reverse to turn it to go backwards, or the tempo. This right here, it is called rhythm out. So let's say you want to have this go into a monitor behind the drummer. There'll be like a click it'll give to the drummer. So, I mean, this thing is, when you see all these other buttons, which I don't really use all of this stuff that's here. I use my main function is when I want to save it or store it. That right there will say store. So if you have a loop that you're comfortable with, you hit that, it'll flash. If you want to store it, hit it again, and it stores it. And now your loop is, boom, saved. And literally, you could get Calling it a night. Yeah, it's been. Oh yeah, Gasper Boo, you have a great night, my friend. Yeah, because I know you're over, and I believe you're in Ireland, Ireland or England. Been to Ireland, my friends. It's nice. Have a great night, my friend. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, this is great. This is a great pedal to have, man. I have because I had to do a lot of the one man band gigs because no one wants to pay a full band anymore, and that's a crying shame. And oh, UK, all right, yeah, that's where Deb's mom is. Well, that's where she's from. She lives in Illinois, but she's from Birmingham, England. Um, but yeah, so that's why I mean, if you have to do like the whole one man band thing, that's why I use what I use. Because I've been in situations where they'll hire me for, let's say, 4 hours, and they tell Deb, hey, he sounds good. Could you do an extra hour? And if you could improvise, this right here, man, is all you need, and you're good to go. You are good to go, and you can make money with it. Or you could just be in your practice room and just have a great time with it, and then load up YouTube videos, So, anyways, guys, I really appreciate you hanging this long. I didn't mean to go on such a long story time with Dave, Sometimes I wonder if that's what it turns out to be, But I really believe in helping people with the experience I have. And then what that does, I've seen other people start to share their experiences, and it's like, holy crap, I've never been in that situation, and it helps me out. See, it's all about giving. You know what I mean, my friends? And we all help each other out, and who knows? Who knows what the future will be of this, because this is what's going to be 2 freaking hours, man. Yeah, Night Phantom. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that long. I apologize about that. It's time to, celebrate with Deb, because it is her birthday. But see, this is what I mean. She's the greatest gal I ever met in my life, And that's why I love her to death, and forever together, right? Anyways, my friends, we hope this was inspiring. It started out talking about blues and celebrating Deb's birthday, and it just started going on, taking on a whole mind of its own. It's all good, enjoyable, and well, thank you. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I just happen to stumble across certain things that I know is out there. And it's definitely out there. So, my friends, we'll do the Rockin' Ibanez on Wednesday. Until then, my friends, you have a great night. Always desire to inspire, my friends. Help each other out. Hold the doors of opportunity open. Help that person out. Life will treat you good, my friends. Guarantee it. Till Wednesday, you guys take care. Happy Labor Day. If you took tomorrow off, good for you, my friends. Sleep in and have a good time. Until next video, take care and God bless. You guys rock. See you Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.